That's on the agenda, which is, all right, this is, all right, it's item 95, a local law to amend the county government law of Nassau County in relation to personal service contracts. Motion, please. Moved by legislator Patel, second by legislator Nicolello, and we have, I believe, the county attorney is going to speak on this item.
Good afternoon. Colonel Foskey, the Nassau County Attorney. This local law is a county executive initiative that's part of its continuing efforts to promote greater transparency and openness within county government. Thus far, these efforts have included the new local laws requiring registering of lobbyists and public disclosure campaign contributions. The current law under Section 103.8 requires all personal service contracts $25,000 only to go before the Rules Committee for approval. The local law proposed here today will reduce the contract limit and require all personal service contracts that fall between $1,000 and over to go before the Rules Committee.
Any questions or comments for County Attorney Foskey? All right.
I didn't see it. How are you, Sorry. How are you, County Attorney Foskey? Well, I don't have any general concerns about the bill. What I do have is, as you probably are aware, our caucus has submitted a bill which also includes an independent inspector general. I know the county executive wrote back to our caucus stating that he felt that that position does not need to be developed because he felt that between, I guess, yourself, or not between, yourself, acts as in that role. However, and no disrespect to you, Mr. Foskey, I think you've been valid in your position, but valiant in your position. But that being said, I truly believe in order to add transparency as well as confidence among the people, we submitted a bill which would basically require an independent inspector general in addition to county contracts of all threshold, of all amounts, not only going to rules but going to full legislature. We do recognize that this is a step in the right direction, but I do want to get your thoughts on the matter of an independent inspector general, very similar to the Office of Legislative Budget Review.
Well, I stand by the letter that the county executive sent you. It speaks for itself.
But you would agree that, in your mind, I mean, taking your position, I'm sure you feel that you can be independent, but to the average taxpayer, do you feel that your independence is conveyed to them?
Yes, I think in my other role, commission investigation, I have a separate staff that's available to me, I believe 7 investigators, and I don't see it being an issue that there's no lack of independence with respect to the Department of Investigation in that role.
But Mr. Foskey, to be fair, you are hired at the pleasure of the county executive, correct?
You asked me, did I feel I could be independent, and I answered yes.
Yes.
So any other editing that you want to do, you're more than free to have that liberty. And as I said to you before, I stand by the letter that the county executive wrote to you and the information contained in that letter. And in answer to your question, in that role as commission investigation, can I be independent? Yes, and that's my answer, and it's not going to change.
Okay, so let's just play devil's advocate.
I don't want to play devil's, with all due respect. I don't want to play devil's advocate.
Well, let's call it something else.
Facts, that's all.
Let's talk facts. If there was something that arose in your office, in the county attorney's office, how would that be investigated?
That is no different than what we do now as county attorney. In my role as county attorney, I wear several hats. I represent you, this body, I represent the departments, and I represent the county executive. I have the ability to compartmentalize those things. In my role as commission investigation, that's a separate role, it's a separate entity, it's a separate budget line, and I interact differently in that role. I interact pursuant to the mandate that's given me by the charter, and that's my foundation. Whatever my role is in the charter, that's the role that I act in, and the powers that are given me by the charter.
But Mr. Foskey, wouldn't you agree that, and I'm not accusing your office or anyone in there of anything, but couldn't you, at some times, in a future county attorney's office, if you were not there, the commissioner of accounts or the person that's doing the investigating could be investigating themselves if the accused crimes heighten to that level?
With all due respect, my crystal ball is not working too well today about future county attorneys. But I can't comment on what a future county attorney can do. I can only comment on what I would do as a county attorney and as an officer of the court, and which I take very seriously.
Okay, so if a situation arose in your office and it had speculation of the magnitude that it included yourself, an accusation, how would you investigate that?
No more. If someone was a commissioned investigation, how would they investigate themselves?
You can't.
The accusation came before them.
But you can't investigate yourself.
But that has not occurred thus far. So it has not occurred. When it occurs, we'll deal with it in a manner that's ethical and a manner that's consistent with the charter and consistent with the powers of the investigator.
But how would we not know? I mean, wouldn't you appoint someone to that role? I mean, how do we not know that I'm not accusing you again, I'm not accusing you of anything. But how will we not know is the question. There's no independent authority that can say that this is happening or it's not happening.
I stand by my answer that I fully intend to fully execute the duties that the charter gives the commission investigation. I rely on the county executive letter, and most respectfully, I have no additional comments. I think I've answered this 3 or 4 times.
Are you aware, Mr. Foskey, of the district attorney's position and proposal in regards to an independent inspector general?
I only know what I read in Newsday and the reports that I've seen early on regarding other things, but as far as, she's entitled to her opinion. She is a separate elected official, just as the county executive is a separate elected official. And I'm not here to comment, to criticize, to support or not support her opinion. That's something that you'd have to talk to her directly about.
No, what I'm talking to you about is, do you agree with it or do you not agree with it?
I stand by my answer previously.
Okay. Again, thank you, County Attorney.
Thank you.
I would just
County
want to say...
attorney, not county executive.
No, I'm sorry, I said County Executive promoted you. Sorry, Mr. County Attorney. I do want to say, for the record again, that we truly believe that an independent inspector general is exactly what this county needs, and we stand by our legislation, which would basically authorize and generate that. Right now, I don't think anyone in this county can dispute that there is not an independent authority very similar to the Legislative Office Budget Review, which is headed up by Mr. Chalmers, who runs off the contract. No disrespect to Mr. Foskey, but we need to be able to add a level of transparency to this process. The way you do that is by hiring someone that has the ability to act independent and not be worrying about losing their job or being fired because of an investigation that they choose to do. And that right now we do not have. I don't think anybody can debate that.
I'm going to ask a question, County Attorney Foskey. How does the Commissioner of Investigations here in Nassau County compare with the New York State Inspector General as appointed by the governor and the City of New York Inspector General appointed by the mayor?
If you read the responsibilities and duties, they're very similar to what's contained in the charter with respect to the ability to oversee things, the subpoena power, and the ability to look and investigate certain actions that occur within the county. So they're extremely similar.
Okay, thank you, County Attorney Foskey. Legislator Nicolao.
Just, I wanted to raise one issue, or respond to one issue. This perceived conflict in the event that the county attorney is the person under investigation. It's not uncommon for someone in an investigative role, if they become the subject of that investigation, very simply appoint somebody else to do it. For example, if you had a Title IX officer who was accused of sexual harassment, you wouldn't have the Title IX officer investigate, but you'd have somebody else outside of it. So if the county attorney was ever the subject of investigation, you would simply appoint an outside investigator to investigate the county attorney. But there's no reason to take the power away from the county attorney in all cases.
Correct. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
It's,
Again, we.
Minority Leader Devon.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer. Again, we stand by our position again because we obviously believe that these officers cannot legally investigate each other or be required to do so. That being said, I just want to also note for the record, the idea of Inspector General is not just some idea that was created by the minority in the legislative caucus on the Democratic side. It was actually a suggestion and a recommendation put together by the panel, by the very same county executive that the county attorney here stands before and represents. That panel came up with the idea, the thought that an inspector general, an independent inspector general, is necessary in addition to a procurement director. From that standpoint, we have not taken any action since that report came out, I believe in November or October. October. Since that report came out in October, we have not taken any action on any of those items in regards to making sure we have an independent inspector general. If the panel that the county executive put together believes that it is necessary to do, I could not understand why this legislative body would not take the same consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Foskey.
Any other comments or Legislator Salatas?
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Foskey.
Good afternoon, legislator.
It's been more than 300 days since this AppTech scandal in which my caucus has been demanding for greater accountability and transparency in our local government. How does this particular provision prevent an AppTech situation?
Well, I think this came up once before. The AppTech situation is much different, and we're talking about apples and oranges here. They're not the same in any way, shape, or form.
They're contracts for the government.
Yeah, but it didn't deal with the limit of the contract.
But whether the contracts are $250,000, $2 million, or $25 or $1,000 or $25,000.
It's different in several ways. We have more things in place now. We have a lobbying agreement, the disclosure forms, the business forms. There's a series of forms now that we have in place that in conjunction with this new county executive initiative would have more than likely would have made that disclosure of the contacts with the county. And then, as you know, in April, there's another form, the campaign finance reform law, that's going into place. So actually, there's been a number of reforms within our contract process that would address that issue. So in conjunction, this is just another step in the direction of transparency.
But the AppTech situation happened on your watch. And my question is, who
Let's
besides
stop.
your
Let's
office
stop.
is policing
Let's stop.
and enforcing
You're
and
not
checking all
you're
these
not
forms
listening-
to make sure
You're
that
not listening to the answers. If you look at the forms that are attached to the contracts, even some of the contracts in which it came before you today, that would have disclosed the AppTech situation. So that question now is moot for all intents and purposes. In today's forms that we use and contract procurement procedures that we follow, the AppTech situation would have been disclosed to you.
I don't think a bunch of forms could have prevented that situation. I think greater enforcement and greater transparency by an independent body that has the power to subpoena a separate body of government is able to prevent that
I would
situation.
urge you to read the forms, and if you read the forms carefully, you would see that in the AppTech situation, disclosures would have been mandated by the
But
forms.
we saw today we had forms that were not
And
fully
some of those
executed.
contracts were rejected. I don't want to argue with you. Some of those contracts by this body, I'm the one who sent the memo out, telling the vendors, telling the department heads to put them in. So I know and I'm familiar with it. So as long, in this true spirit of transparency, once again, I repeat, if you read the forms and disclosure, which those forms require, the AppTech situation, people would have known who contacted who lobbied who. As simple as that.
But is not applicable on a form sufficient for us to pass, tell these to see there's enough evidence there to see if this contract
That's up to you. You read the questions, you read the answers, and you make a determination. That's why there's 3 branches of the government.
If I may? I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Well,
Minority Leader.
if I may, again, Mr. County Attorney, you are right in saying that the forms did provide some information. I do agree with you, but what if they lie? And then...
Well, there's certain
If I may finish, I wasn't done actually, I'm sorry, I mean, get my whole question out. What if they lie, and then basically we find out that there's been some false information? We need to be able to investigate.
That would
Exactly.
become a matter for the district attorney. That would become a matter for the district attorney.
Why wouldn't it be a matter of an independent?
Because if they lie
inspector?
on a public document, then we kind of get into the weeds here, to be honest with you. If they lie on a public document, submitting a false statement.
Are you cheerleading for him?
Submitting false
Because you're
information on a public document has criminal consequences. It has criminal consequences by doing that.
But it has criminal consequences in regards to the form.
No, in regard to the action.
So, I'm just confused. So we don't want to police ourselves, we want to be able to pass this on to the district attorney whenever something like this happens.
That's not what I'm saying. You asked me, your question to me was, if someone puts false information down on a public document, a form, and I explained to you that could be a criminal matter that would refer to the district attorney's office. I'm not asking you to let district attorney, no more than if you had an employment application and you put something false on that employment application, allegedly, and down the road the district attorney finds that out. It's the same thing. It's a public document, you put information down, it's false.
But see, this is where I disagree with you. The correction is if I put something down on an actual employment application that's false, there's investigators, if I choose to work at Home Depot or somewhere else, that are fact-checking what I did. Right now, we have no fact-checking. We have to rely on a form, which is similar to an application being accurate.
If you feel that someone has lied or misled you and you see in the form, you can do your own.
That's the thing.
You can do your own investigation.
I don't.
Civil service does not have that. You know.
If I had subpoena power, I would, but I don't have the subpoena power.
I go back to my original statement. If you put a false statement on a public form, they could very well, more than likely, be criminal consequences for doing that.
And who's investigating to make sure whether or not the form is accurate?
Well,
So basically they put something down, and we're assuming that what they put down is rightful and truthful.
if you're concerned that someone's put something down, just like today with the Lisa Murphy contract, I believe someone brought an issue with that one. So obviously somebody in your staff did an investigation and found out information about that company, is that correct?
Yes, someone did, but so basically we have to do it upon ourselves, not an independent authority with the responsibility.
There would be no guarantee that there would be another authority to do it. This, as I said to you before, the level of transparency has increased tenfold, and it's the amount of disclosure that has to be done with respect to these contracts are greater than has ever seen in the history of the county, and including by bringing these additional contracts to you at $1,000 and $25,000. Once again, and I might also add that even prior to passing this law, this administration has started including those contracts that were executed, that we had prior to being executed. We started disclosing those contracts to this body.
Mr. Foskey, this is not a question.
I think, Madam Presiding Officer, I've answered all the questions. They're not even one new
So what
question.
is that? I'm sorry, what does that mean?
They're not even one new, I have nothing to add.
So we're having a debate. If you want to leave, you can feel free to leave.
I will answer questions.
Madam
If you have
Presiding
another
Officer, I'm
question,
sorry.
ask him.
I do
Don't
have another
debate.
question.
It's not a debate,
I
that's
have, Miss, I know you're sticking up for him. I don't think you need
Never
that.
mind, I'm not sticking
Yeah,
up for anything.
but you are.
Follow procedure, okay?
Well,
You have a
I don't
question,
know, I don't know.
ask
Miss
him. And
Madison, first of all, I'm not going to respond. First of all, I have a problem with your tone. You're
Well,
not going to
let me
talk to me
tell you-
like I'm one of your children.
No, I'm
That's
sorry.
number one. Number one.
I'm sorry,
Number
but-
two, I am following procedures. And while I was in line of my next question, Mr. Foskey took it upon himself to say that if there's no other question, I'm deciding to leave without even finding out I had another question.
Okay,
So
now I'm
first of all,
saying to you,
Madam Presiding Officer,
and I'm saying-
first of all, Madam Presiding Officer, he doesn't need a cheerleader or a mother. I'm sure he has one.
I got,
Okay,
excuse
well,
me.
thank you. I will take that
Excuse me.
before. Thank you.
Listen to me.
Thank you. Thank you.
You have
I
another
have
question
before.
that's different
Yes.
than what you've
Well,
already had.
what
asked.
matters is it to you that if it's something different or Mr. Foskey's choosing to
I
leave?
am the presiding officer.
Okay, well, then run the actual legislature the way it should be run and not be a cheerleader for the county
You
attorney.
have gotten a lot of leeway.
Yeah.
You have another question, ask.
Mr. Foskey, if it's not too much, if you can come up to the
I'm just
podium.
curious about this cheerleader comment. Does the fact that she's a woman have anything to do with that? I mean, what are we doing?
No, it's because she's defending the county.
What sentence?
Okay, nice try, Rich. Good try.
Well, you know, look, you
If you
are.
had an independent ounce of cells in your body, you would be with us, but you're not.
So I have to agree with you to be independent, right?
Yeah,
It doesn't work that way.
you're far from it, though, I can tell you that.
Talking down to him is the fact that he black eyed to with it.
I'm talking down to him.
I'm not talking about, he
She
is,
talks to us.
I don't want to go,
She talks to all of us the same
if
way.
he has any other questions,
I'm
he
sorry,
can ask.
Mr. Foskey, if you may, please come back into the podium. Please, you're gonna go there with that nonsense. Give me a break.
Yes, I may help you.
Mr. Foskey, can you specify for the record of any internal audit that you have done of the contract process?
I can provide that to you at a later date. I did not come here today prepared to talk about my role as commission investigation.
Have you, this, I don't really know.
I don't want to guess and speculate. That's
No,
what
no, no,
saying.
I'm not gonna ask you to speculate on a number. What I'm asking you is, have you done any? It's a yes or no.
I'm sure that I have. I would just like to have an opportunity to go back and check my records and files to see if I've done them to what extent.
Thank you.
Okay, Legislator Nicola.
Yeah, I mean, the issue was brought up, and I don't have a question for you right now, Judge, about fact checking, and, you know, I'm not sure what their proposal is with respect to this Inspector General office, but my understanding, what my thought process would be, do we really need another step in the process to fact check? Isn't it what the administration does? Now,
Mr. Nicola, are you like, if you just put your head into the
Are
sand,
you gonna, like,
do you realize what this county
You
is?
are
You know what
now
it is?
interfering with
I
him.
mean, the
Sorry.
Inspector General to investigate, yes, but
Madam Presiding
would you let me finish?
Please,
I didn't
Mr.
interrupt you.
Nicola, are you really serious about what you're saying to me?
Are you serious about letting me finish?
Does the county, is there individuals in this county that are being investigated? Yes or no?
What you accused me of doing.
That has nothing to do with the issue of fact checking.
Oh my God.
You brought up the subject of fact checking
You're right.
as if when you submit an employment application, somebody checks the facts. Of course, the administration does that type of thing when they get contracts. Now, the process right now is, after a contract is executed, it goes through a number of approvals. First, it goes to the initiating department, then to the Office of Management and Budget, then to the Office of County Attorney, then to the Office of the County Attorney again, then the County Control, then the County Legislature, then the County Attorney for a third time, then the Office of Management and Budget for a second time, then the County Controller for a second time, finally the County Executive's Office. So putting another Inspector General in to check facts, to check things like employment applications, or things of that nature, makes no sense whatsoever. I just think it just butters up the process. What?
Because you're part of the corruption, that's why.
You know, that's uncalled for, and it's beneath the dignity of this body to make a statement like
I am
that.
going to call this question. I'm sorry. All right? I'm sorry, but I'm going to cut discussion, debate, or arguments now. And all those, I'm going to call the item, which is item 95. I'm sorry. You can vote for it, or you're gonna say no. I'm not gonna go there. Okay? Listen, there's plenty.
And we're not doing anything about it.
Yeah, okay.
But simply,
Don't talk. I'm calling the question. I am calling the question.
I have additional questions, please.
All right, the item is item 95, the local law to amend the county government law of Nassau County in relation to personal service contract. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay? Any abstentions? I didn't hear any nays.
There are